Australians are renowned travellers, but now we're being told to avoid going overseas, while everyone arriving in Australia must quarantine themselves for 14 days.
Just had a friend do a food drop.
Claire is among the recent travellers now adapting to 14 days indoors, surviving on supplies from friends and relatives.
Some mushrooms that look really great.
Claire and her partner Tom and her friends Ben and Jackie have been living and working in New York.
Grapes, fresh grapes.
We are totally relying on the kindness of others, and also it's just so hard to imagine what it would be like if we didn't have family and friends that were able to support us.
The two couples flew back to Australia from New York via Los Angeles because of the worsening outbreak in the US.
Things were going to ramp up pretty quickly in New York, and that it was starting to feel a little bit stressful being there. We realised we just were feeling anxious because we were so far from home and wanted to be in a health system that we had a little bit more confidence in.
They were in Los Angeles when the new quarantine rules were suddenly announced.
When we're at the gate getting ready to board, the crew was making an announcement to everyone that you've just probably seen, this news has broken. If you still want to get on this flight, you will have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks.
The four of them are now sharing an Airbnb in Melbourne.
Really, I think it's only been a couple of days that we haven't had a chance to get bored yet. I'm sure that time will come, but at the moment it's like, okay, we're here, we're glad we're here, let's just deal with what's in front of us. We're just doing all of the things that everyone's advised us to do, like washing hands incessantly, having hand sanitizer, wiping down surfaces.
They've been washing all of their clothes from the trip just to be careful. Anyone who breaches quarantine faces hefty fines running into the tens of thousands of dollars, and in some cases, even jail.
The last thing that we would ever want to do is to unintentionally infect somebody else. We know that the virus is incredibly dangerous, and so, yeah, it's tough, but I understand why the quarantine is in place and obviously really happy to comply with it.
So it's reassuring that governments around the world seem to be taking the virus much more seriously.
With travelling overseas now discouraged, the couples may be in Australia for some time.
And what do you think, we'll keep working remotely or?
We're in a little bit of limbo because we're going to be in Australia for a while, but our lives are still pretty firmly planted in New York.
Another Australian who returned recently is Richard Neville.
Just trying to not go stir crazy.
He flew back to Sydney from London via Singapore and is in quarantine at his apartment.
I don't think I was surprised. I think I knew it was coming, but probably didn't expect to get it mid-flight and just be subject to everything so quickly. Coming into Australia, it just felt like there were these huge grey areas. Like we were talking to our driver on the way back from the airport, and he was obviously quite perplexed as to how everybody, all these thousands of passengers, are being told to go straight home, and yet these drivers are expected to drive everybody home.
Richard's been hit hard by the pandemic. His business is linked to large gatherings like the Vivid Festival, which was cancelled.
Obviously heartbroken. We were really looking forward to working on the project, and Vivid's a small part of what we do as a lighting company. So we work on concert tours that have been cancelled, corporate events, everything else. And it's absolutely decimated our industry. For us, it'll run into the millions, easily run into the millions.
Richard's also worried about his mum, who has cancer.
It'd be great to go and see my mum after a week overseas, but we're obviously going to avoid that. So I've just had to speak to her on the phone. She's moving up to a place that my parents are able to stay in the mountains for the next couple of weeks, because we're so concerned that the effect that this would have on her if she contracted it. The frustration's only going to increase when I can't get outside for any period of time. Can't literally, even just not being able to go to the shops. Everything about this experience is frustrating, I guess.
So this is our view of the outside world.
A few suburbs away, Tim WADDELL and his wife Elise are using their quarantine to work from home.
We're both lucky enough to be able to work from home. So there's my setup on the dining table. My wife, who works for university, has already got a pretty good setup here. This is her home office. And some bits and bobs to keep us entertained, and a yoga mat so she doesn't go stir crazy.
They were travelling back from New Zealand when the quarantine was announced.
So we saw the announcement essentially at the airport from the Prime Minister, and at that stage there was just no way we could prepare given the short turnaround.
Friendly neighbours have been delivering coffee from the outside world.
Oh my God, you guys are lifesavers. Thanks, guys. It's really very important that we self-isolate. I think there's a certain social responsibility too. I understand that, while I might not be in the group that's going to be particularly affected, it's really, really important that we care for people who are immunosuppressed or in an older age bracket and at risk.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.